to the Into the Void podcast with your host, Sammy Starr. Step into the void.
All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Into the Void. I'm here with another great band from Sharp Tone Records. I'm going to let him do the honors to introduce himself here.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm the vocalist in Alt.
This is like a common question that I like to ask a lot of bands. And I know, again, people can easily do their research on Google or whatever search engine people like to use to do this stuff on, but I feel it's usually better to get it from the artists themselves. So, what made you guys want to start Alt? I know you guys started back in 2019. And what's the story behind the name?
We've obviously all got like a passion for music, and it's just something that we've all wanted to do since we were kids, really, whether it be playing guitar or singing, and just, kind of wanting to reach as many people as possible and just show people what we can create. But as for the name, we used to be a band called After Change back in the day, which kind of sort of was a bit of a different style. And in the end, I was the only original member. So we decided, let's rebrand, let's change the sound, come up with a new name. And I was kind of the one that came up with the name because we were like, I never really liked the name After Change at all. But it was sort of just like, if you're after change, what are you after? You're sort of after an alternative, something different. So then we decided to sort of short the alternative and just turn it into alt. So that's sort of where the name came from.
I think that's pretty cool though, because I mean, like, even when you look at going into what you guys have made before to this first record, I think there is a difference in not only what you guys have made before, but even with this new record, there is a change in sound. And, there's a maturability that comes with this record. I feel it's a lot more mature and it's a lot more focused in terms of the instrumentation and, lyrics that we're using with this new album, which we're going to dive into. What are your musical influences and how is that reflected in your new album, ABEYANCE? Your new record feels more evolved and focused. And going back instrumentally to 2020's EP, Dysfunctional, even down to the production and the sound, it's very stellar. We get these very big and full sounds where it's juxtaposed by these dark and light soundscapes throughout the EP. How did you find ways to go above and beyond that instrumentally on this record?
When it comes to people that sort of influence us, myself and Simon are the main songwriters in the band, and we have quite different tastes of music as well. So I used to really like heavy music, and I liked heavy music for a while, starting with Linkin Park as sort of like the gateway band. But as for Simon, he's still more on that heavy realm of things. So he loves bands like Architects and Polaris and bands like that, whereas I'm more into more sort of pop oriented music now, whether that be sort of like Post Malone or Taylor Swift even. But I'd say, I guess Post Malone and Bring Me the Horizon and bands like Paris or things like that are probably our most biggest influences when it comes to writing at the moment. But with the name Alt, we were kind of just like, we feel like we can do anything with that name. Like that name doesn't pigeonhole us to any sort of genre. Mm-hmm. So we like to kind of explore all of the things that maybe each member likes individually and make it an alt sound and be able to have these dynamic releases where it has softer songs and heavier songs and songs in between. But definitely, I guess, with the first EP that we released, Dysfunctional, I guess it sounds more mature, but that's just because we knew what we sounded like now. So that first EP was just kind of us sort of going, oh, we could try this, and not really sure what the band sounded like, kind of creating a sound. But on this album, we knew exactly what we wanted to do. So it was much more purposeful, and it was a lot more direct to the point of, this song's going to do this, we're going to have this, we're going to do this with it, as we were making it, I guess. So I guess that's what makes it seem more mature. It was just, we knew what we sounded like now. Not to say that we're going to sound like this forever, but for now, this is what it was.
Right. Lyrically speaking, for 2020's EP Dysfunctional, we're talking about the emotional dynamicism being at the forefront of the last EP. And for this latest record, ABEYANCE, we're taking a different turn here in terms of talking about the toxicity that is not necessarily our doing, but it stems from the chaos emanating from the world and how it's used to divide us as people. How is this lyric writing process different from the last EP, and how were you able to challenge yourselves on this album?
On that debut release, it was like a tumultuous time with me, whereas I was sort of finished up a relationship with a long-term partner, then was starting a relationship with my now wife. And it was kind of like half the album was written whilst the other relationship was ending, and then the other half was written when I was starting up this new relationship with my now wife. And so the whole EP was very built along relationships and kind of ending and starting and the in between. So going into this album, I really didn't want to just have a focus, just it being on relationships again, and just kind of like beating that dead horse of it just being about the same thing. So obviously this album came into writing in the middle of the pandemic. So there was a lot more things to write about, whether it be not really liking what I was seeing in the world at the time with, things like social media and government policies and things like that being put in place, built what to me felt like just to segregate people and to pit people who had just different opinions against each other, and creating this sort of internal war just between people just on their beliefs or where they stand on their opinions on various different topics. And I kind of just found that a bit disgusting. So I was a bit angry with that. And then obviously spending a lot of time during lockdowns with yourself and kind of reflecting on what you think and what you feel and your own issues kind of just spurred a lot of these writings as well. And just a lot of self-reflection, a lot of overthinking and thinking about way too many topics that I guess sort of forced this album to be what it is, which is like self-reflection, the chaos of the world, and also I guess death. And that's sort of what it all sort of symbolizes.
We're talking about self-reflection here. What have you taken from this new record that you haven't taken from your past work as a musician and as a person?
I guess it's given me more confidence in myself and my abilities to be able to write what we've written. I surprised myself multiple times on some of the songs that we wrote and how easy it came sometimes to write some of those hooks or some of those riffs. And I think we just surprised ourselves that we're like, wow, we can really actually do this. We can actually, write songs that we're happy that nearly any song on the album could be a single, as well as like lyrically is normally not my favorite part. I normally don't really like writing lyrics. It's my least favorite part of writing, but some of these songs were some of the easiest songs to write lyrically than what there was previously. But then it's also a bit more nerve-wracking putting some of these songs out because they feel a bit more personal and a bit more things I haven't really talked to people about because they're just thoughts that I have all the time. So that's just something that we kind of learned and just found out along the way from writing this album.
I'm so glad that this journey has helped you find yourselves along the way, because honestly, like I said, flipping back from both this EP and this new record, ABEYANCE, you can tell from night and day that you guys have definitely found yourselves, and there's a bit more of a confidence there from the first song all the way to the last song. Not only is there a confidence there, but I feel like, I dare say it, there's a happiness there in the sense of finding yourselves and knowing that you found the sound that you want to portray within this record. And it's a lovely thing to hear in this new record. And I'm really happy that people are going to be able to hear this June 16th. And I think they're going to come and hear this and be as happy to hear this as I was to hear it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess when we wrote Dysfunctional, we were very much, we were a brand new band and coming from a band that was very much considered a local band that played local shows and didn't really tour really at all. I guess coming out of the cycle with Dysfunctional and getting to do, touring and playing with bands like North Lane and Sleep Token, and coming into then doing our full-length album, I guess we were a bit more, yeah, like people actually liking what we're doing, and we were a bit more confident, I guess, because I'd still say we're a local band, but we're a big local band now. So it's kind of like yeah, it's a bit more exciting and a bit more. We have a purpose for the music now. It's not just us writing music and hoping people will hear it and we'll get to play
Mhm.
a couple of shows. It's like, well, these songs now we got to write these songs for bigger audiences and actual touring and maybe international audiences. And it's not just for a few people in our small city of Adelaide anymore. So
Right.
there was the excitement and the joy of we were knowing that we're writing music that more people were going to hear this time. So I guess there's that as well.
There's your opinion of what you are taking from this record, and then I guess there's the opinion of what you want others to take from this record moving forward. So I guess the question that I want to bring to the table to you is, what do you want others to take from Abeyance moving forward, whether they are just getting into this as a brand new experience or whether they've been with you guys since 2019?
I guess you can't really dictate what people are going to take from it. And that's, I guess, the beauty of art. It's just people are going to take and, hold on to whatever they want. I just
Hmm.
hope that people listen to the whole album, I guess, start to finish and get
Hmm.
the whole experience and the whole journey sonically, like the whole way through. There's a reason why we put the songs in that order. And I just hope that people will like what they've heard. They can relate to some of it, whether that means they have to sort of look up the lyrics and see what I'm saying and understand sort of where I'm kind of trying to go with it. They take whatever they want to take out of it. As long as
Hmm.
people take something out of it or enjoy it, that's all I can really ask for, is whatever it is that it brings them something, some kind of emotion, whether it be a good or a bad emotion, whatever it is. It's up to them. And I just hope people give it the time to find that.
What do you feel Abeyance represents moving forward for you?
I don't know. It's just like a chapter of a time of our lives. It almost feels like this is now the starting point for the band. I know that we obviously had Dysfunctional as the EP, but as I said, the EP was more of just like feeling out what we were doing or where we were going with this new band. And now I feel like Abeyance is almost like our first release as alt. This actually feels like this is what the band is now. Like this is our starting point. So as I said, like it might change going forwards what the sound's going to be like on the next release. Like I don't know, but for us, it's just like this is kind of where the band has started now on this album. This is sort of like our first offering, and we hope we can play some of these songs continuing on into the future. And I guess it's kind of like a statement piece for us. This is where it begins. I really don't know what it's going to look like going forward, but I hope people like it, and it's one that's going to continue in the rotation going forward.
No, I think that's definitely cool, especially with what your name represents. I feel alt can transform into a number of different things moving forward from each release. So it's going to be really exciting to see what the transition point is going to be from this record all the way to, you know, the next few releases moving forward. It's going to be a really interesting and beautiful time for you guys to really look at this first record and onward to see what that transition is going to look like. I want to thank you for coming on to this show and talking about your record, talking about, where you started from. I think everybody's going to enjoy Abeyance. It was a pleasure to get to listen to it from start to finish. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this experience.
Yeah, hopefully. I hope they do. Obviously, when you create an album, you want people to enjoy it. I guess that's like the main point. I feel like already just with the singles, we've gained some new fans, and a lot of the old fans seem to be on board with what we're doing. In saying that, the singles that we've put out are definitely probably some more of the heavier songs on the album. And I know there's some older fans who are missing some of our softer, more melodic side. And I'm very excited for them to hear the album because there's definitely some of that on that album that people are going to be able to hear and hopefully latch on to what they liked in Dysfunctional. It's just, yeah, they just didn't come through as singles, but it doesn't mean that they're not as good as the singles because I probably like all the non-singles more than the singles themselves. So I think people have still got a lot to hear.
Most definitely. Anybody that's listening on YouTube or Spotify or any other places that you listen to this podcast, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in for another episode next time. Take care, guys.
Thank you.